On this episode of ResiWeek, Ring adds end-to-end encryption, Sony hosts a virtual AV tech event, and CEDIA Expo's new influencer network. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 285, Sign the Waiver.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Just Add Power, the global leader in video over IP solutions with systems that give you easy installation, unmatched scalability, and outstanding performance.
Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. And this week, I'm pleased to be joined by two of my longtime friends. First, we have Mr. Henry Clifford. He is the president of Livewire and the co-founder of Paracel. How you doing, my friend?
What's going on, Matt? Great to be here.
Great to have you back. It's been a minute. And then we have Mr. Joe Whitaker. He is the CEO of Thoughtful Integrations. What's up, Joseph?
It's a beautiful day outside. We don't have any rain, and I'm happy to be on with you guys.
I'm so happy we don't have any rain. We've had way too much rain the last couple of days. So, very, very good. All right, gentlemen, let's kick this off with a story that comes to us from CE Pro. Ring devices just got much harder to hack. They have finally added end-to-end encryption for their videos across worldwide, which is really nice. It had started as a U.S. kind of beta test where they were allowing this to be turned on, and now it is going to hit, I believe, pretty much the majority of their products, including Ring Video Door Pro, Video Doorbell Pro 2, Doorbell Elite, and a bunch of their other devices. Henry, let me start with you on this one. I'm somewhat frustrated that it wasn't already enabled from the get-go, but I knew that was the case. What takes companies so long to realize that encryption is really good? We probably shouldn't be putting out devices without it.
I feel like for Ring, this is probably a really good way not to finish, but to answer a conversation that they didn't start, right? This conversation started because of that scenario where the little girl's bedroom got hacked, and it was a Ring camera. And I think at the time, to Ring's credit, it wasn't even a true hack. But their name became associated with compromised video. And now here they come, almost in Apple fashion, to say, not only are we sort of compliant with standards that are out there now, but now we have something new that doesn't exist in the industry, and we're implementing it end-to-end with our devices. So I feel like they're putting their hand in the dog food of their competitors of the industry a little bit, and I feel like they had to answer, but to do it and sort of turn the volume to 11 on it. Why did it take so long? I don't know. Good things take time. I feel like a lot of times companies react because it's expensive to do the right thing. And the right thing and the hard thing are usually the same thing, and I think we all know that there's so many competing priorities. But they really had to do this one. But to come back at it this way, my hat's off to them. Whether it's true or whether it's any good, I have no idea. But from a spin PR perspective, it's a fantastic, clever, really well played announcement.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, even if it's just from a PR standpoint. Anytime you can highlight security is good. For some clarity, it is on essentially the majority of their wired devices. It does not work on any of their battery-powered doorbells or cameras. So if you're just selling battery-powered, you're plumb out of luck. Joe, when you see this, this is one of those things that, again, I'd like to see this with every company in our channel that does anything on the network, to have encryption, two-factor authentication. Is that, in the past, like when Ring first came out, that would have been a really big ask to determine how to do end-to-end encryption properly, effectively, cost-effectively, and without lagging their systems dramatically. In today's world, is it too big of an ask for us as integrators to look at all of our supply chain companies and say, yeah, we need at the bare minimum two-factor. We need encryption. We're not selling it if it doesn't have that.
You know, this is an interesting one for me. And the reason why is kind of what Henry said about, the public, cry of that one camera and that one house. Now that's on the consumer base, but on the integrator base, what we're used to, we know there's a government do not use list. We know there's brands that have basically been blacklisted for use, and customers hear about that, and they're like, "Oh, don't put that brand there." We know Wells Fargo got hacked because of that. We know that this got hacked because of that. We know you can't use that at an airport, right? So that's not secure. So I think Ring itself had a lot to look at previous, right? And the thing is number one, the encryption I think is perfect. Everyone knows they already own AWS, right? So they've already got, the servers are already theirs. They can do whatever they want with them. It's turning on and off switches. But what I think Ring did, and the reason we're seeing it like this, is because big ships are hard to turn fast, right? And Ring and Amazon are the biggest boats in the water in technology. So it takes a little longer to shift them. And what they're doing is they're going down a pecking list. This is what I see. Not saying I have any insider knowledge at all, because about this I don't. But they're going down a list. Let's make a PoE camera. Okay, done. Let's make it work outdoors. Okay, done. Let's make ones that are specifically for pros only. Okay, done. Now let's do two-factor. Okay, now as of like a couple days ago, done. What can come next? I don't know. Their own branded PoE switches. Maybe a standalone NVR that only records when your internet goes down and then pushes it up to the cloud for backup. I don't know. But it seems like they're going down a really smart strategic direction, marking off things as they go. Because we all know, because Matt, you sell, cameras, and Henry, I know you do. And the ones we've been selling for years, customers say they're ugly. All those apps that go along with them are extremely hard to use. And explaining 500 times to a customer how they have to get the recordings off is insanity. We've dealt with this, and Ring is slowly marking, there you go, another one, an easy to use app that they can easily find their recordings, whether it's person detected, motion detected, or all-time recording, right? They're knocking all these things off the list. For basically, at the end, when you look at it, it's for customers like ours. And that's the important thing. They're recognizing those pain points and just going down the list and saying, okay, this quarter, checked off, that one's done. So let's move on to the next quarter. Okay, boom, checked off, done. So I think the strategic vision they're showing, there's a lot of in between the lines writing if you really look at it. There's a lot there. And kudos to those guys for what they're doing, because every time I turn around, they're making my job easier.
So let me ask kind of both of you a quick policy question. And Joe, I'm really glad you brought up the do not use list, because we all know who those companies are.
And we won't say them.
I was thinking about it, but now I won't. Yeah, if you don't know, hit me up on Twitter. I'll let you know. But the majority of us have installed those systems for clients who, even when you tell them, yeah, you probably don't want to use this brand, they go, hits the price checkpoint, just put it in. I don't care. What is your internal policy, or do you have an internal policy on how you either A, disclose, or B, warn clients about the potential security pitfalls with some of these products that we sell? Because we all sell stuff that doesn't have any encryption, that doesn't offer two-factor. should that be part of your conversation, or should that be a legal document, or should you just ignore that to high heaven?
I went to the trouble of putting a camera from the do not use list in a closet in my house. I turned it on, didn't do anything really special to protect myself. And within 72 hours, we're eating dinner, and all of a sudden I hear from the closet a guy's voice coming from inside the closet. And what I hoped was going to happen, this sort of me honeypotting somebody to come and hack into this thing, happened, and it played right into this blog that I wrote. Well, I wrote the article specifically to share it with our customers and say, look, this is not just pearl clutching, right? This is real, and it's something to be concerned about. We share that as an education deal, but then on the actual product side, if we touch it, we own it. That's sort of our philosophy. And so therefore, if they want to bring something to the table, like a camera or something, and have us install it, unfortunately, the answer is no. We don't do that. We will put product in that we can warranty and remotely manage and et cetera. And I mean, if that's a deal breaker for that client, I mean, for most of our customers, their big driver is time and saving time, not dollars. And so if that's a deal breaker for them, that's probably an early warning sign that relationship's probably not going to be that great. So we will politely just sort of back away, or try to pivot the conversation into sort of a yes and conversation. And most of the time we're successful doing it. But outfits like, I mean, you look at alarm.com, you look at some of these other outfits that are out there, providing these cloud sort of delivered video solutions. They really try hard to make sure that they're doing a good job of encrypting end to end. But I guess so the short answer would be we educate and then say no politely, yes and.
So we it's funny though when you have long-term clients or long going on projects. I always fancy myself as the king of disclaimers and waivers. It could be anything from last minute a customer pops up with a TV that's going to go in an exercise room and says, hey, I already bought the mount. Cool deal. Sign this waiver saying you provided the mount. If it falls off the wall, not my fault. But same thing with cameras. Sometimes that's what they want because that's what they have at their corporation or whatever the case. And what do they have to do? Here is the government do not use list. Please sign this waiver stating that you understand the risk and the mitigations required, blah, 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 blah. Done deal. You're good, fine. But you look at a lot of those that are in our industry that are typical, it will be very hard for you to count on one hand how many actually have that level of encryption. Mm-hmm. Very hard. And that's like, not only is this good for a ring, but it's also a great wake-up call for the other people in our industry.
Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.